Hi, people. Thank you so much. Also, very excited to meet you. And is I'm the only one who's sitting with the Christmas tree? It's like a good riddance, 2020. Okay, yeah, but I can count your trees. That's a kind of good. So we have Mia joining. So she's the community manager of Slack, based in Dublin. So
Hi.
hey, nice to see you. Yeah, managed to get up and running the baby. So you see, we have everyone on screen, and I also made it. So that's great. And
I
yeah,
really
sounds
like your decorations though, Ella. It's fun.
yes. It's just I don't know. I actually decorated my house the almost 15th of November. I felt like it. So, but yeah, I get the Christmas tree like 2 weeks ago. So it's just I don't know how everyone is doing in this year, but I feel like a little bit of Christmas mood, something like that is actually necessary. And with this news about lockdown, so it's not like I was going to have a party, but knowing that more people can enter your house than two, it actually makes it a little bit um for more fun. So Joshua, you're with me here in the Netherlands, and Erwin, you're also in the Netherlands.
Yep.
Lou, how things are going in Toronto? So is it also lockdown right now or not?
Yeah, we got waves of lockdown here as well. So Toronto is actually soon to be coming out of lockdown, but the cities, suburbs around us are actually just going into lockdown. So as a whole, it's in lockdown, just like most other cities or countries.
Yeah. And how things are in Dublin?
Yeah, they're good-ish. So we had lockdown up until Monday. Was it Monday last week? Yeah, so it's finished for about a week, but it's not like it's fully open. It's just open a bit. But on that side, I did get to go to a pub quiz on Tuesday. Very socially distant, but it was the pub, and pubs have been closed this year, and a quiz.
Okay, that's probably the most social, event that you had.
That'd be it now.
So that's interesting. That's interesting because probably the most exciting part of this year was buying some of Lego constructors and the robot vacuum cleaner. So that's the biggest excitement that I had this year. I don't know how you guys, but yeah. So, but there's another thing that's really exciting. We actually were supposed to have a little bit more people sharing their thoughts about how to let's say what are the things that we can change in the upcoming year, what are the topics we can discuss, but unfortunately they can't manage it due to some emergencies, but I just really hope that's going to be fixed, and they all going to be all right. So right now I'm checking on everyone, to be honest. That's my regular routine, just make sure everyone who's who I'm in touch with, so I can make sure that they're feeling good. I'm going to share the screen just to show one of the things that I prepare for us. And so the agenda is very flexible. So I would like to thank everyone who was in this year events, and to get some insights how from our side, like from the Slack community, so how we can host it better, provide more support, and maybe cover some topics that we didn't cover. So yeah, and so of course I already planned some things that I would like to discuss with you and see how it goes. So I quickly share my screen. So doing that again using this first time. Okay, so I will start like, yeah, this was supposed to be a very nice picture, but yeah, it's like all of a sudden like became.
Oh, Ala, before you get going, press the share one so we get the full screen of it.
Yeah. No. So you meant present,
present
right?
one.
Not to share. Yeah.
Same.
So that's the full screen. Yes, nice. Yeah. So the idea was like just to say goodbye to 2020 and so just to have a little bit more positive feelings about moving to the next year with the other thoughts. So that's me. You all know me, so I will just skip it quickly. I would like to go to the part that's So that's the agenda, to go quickly through the community announcements, through some panel discussions that we have already on our screen. And someone who would like to stay and ask me some questions, super welcome. So what is very special for me is that when I joined Slack platform community chapter, it was like the first conversation that I had with Slack was in Berlin in summer. It was around July when the first steps were made, and at the end of the year 2019 I started to work on this community because I thought Amsterdam is one of the best places to be, to work, and to be part of the community. And but 2020 happened, and all the events that I was planning to host in amazing offices, we actually host online. So we had 4 online events, and out like when I started, it was 12 people. So right now it's 101, and I made a screenshot for myself. So that's probably not a big number if you think about like how many people live in the Netherlands. So, but I would say I'm very, very happy, very, very proud because what you've done. So I'm gonna quickly go through the panel discussions that we had. So for example, this are the people that spoke like for about almost 2 hours, and we have the recording in the YouTube channel, just if anyone is interested. We spoke about design in general, for product, for gaming, for some of the features. We went through the all, amazing design features of Slack, and actually we've got a very constructive, let's say, it's not like a critique, but some comments. I myself is the person who many times, instead of attachments, click send. I don't know if I'm the only one, because attach the file and send button are so close to each other. So I did it many times. So I've sent this message to designers. It's like saying, like, hey guys, is it like, idiot proof for people like me? So yeah, that's interesting things you can learn from just discussing how to use these productivity tools and how design can help to go through it. And another panel discussion we had also with Rita and Holm. He's actually represents Slack as a part of the community, and he answered a lot of questions about how you can build on Slack, he's very open to get connected on social media and to give some technical advice. And Rita, she's from the Netherlands, so she's one of software developers, and she actually also created a big community of Ruby developers. It's like 2,000 Ruby developers. Very impressive. So they've been with us this year, and that was recent panelist discussion, the Slack platform community, where we invited guys from GitLab, from Miro, and from Flowhouse. For example, GitLab everyone knows, so it's a fully remote company, and it's very nice to learn from them. How did they manage to stay connected, and so what are the tools they're using, and how actually they use Slack as well, because you'll be surprised that people use it very differently. And we had guys from Miro. They were talking about the way how their product Miro helps to also to get productivity, stay productive for when you work online. And Flow Health, this is a very successful application, but only for women, and they've got such a big audience of let's say people who are using the application, and they manage to keep their community so active. So it was also very nice to learn. They have the company guidebook, and actually these materials are available in a channel that we created on Slack Workplace. But if you want to ask me any questions, please just reach out to me directly. anywhere. So we actually don't have a question. So let me go. Yeah, smile. That's something that I always. It's a spoiler alert. So let me go back to the channel and stop sharing. Joshua, actually, I haven't showed you for purpose because you were the first one to open the first events for Slack community, and I was very thrilled to have you because. When I look at your LinkedIn profile, I'm a little bit scared by all these things that you did in your life. You manage so many teams. You've been working in mostly every part of the planet, and your the knowledge that you have. It's so amazing that you're sharing. And Lou, he was actually there at the first community and was asking you questions. So I remember that. So maybe if you don't mind, Joshua, I will start with you. So I will ask you how this year was for you. Is there any takeouts, like a personal, technical? If you may share with us.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the very kind introduction. Yeah, it's been I think for everyone, a pretty crazy year. You know, we started the year as a team that was working remote maybe once or twice a week, except for a few teammates that lived, quite far from the office. And of course, we finished the year, and actually earlier this evening, we had our remote Christmas party, which, we put the team put a lot of effort into. And so, of course, it's not really like a party, but we produced a video game show, and we had all of the teammates playing. And that worked out pretty well. It was a lot of fun. And the concept we did, and I think this really speaks to the creativity of still trying to have fun in this kind of, socially distant world. So for those of you that don't know, here in the Netherlands, you have a tradition of getting a Christmas box from your company. And so the game show we had was that everyone would compete, and the prizes were all items that would then go into the Christmas box, which will be sent to everyone. It was a lot of fun, remote prizes, really creative team, and it stretched us in ways we didn't think about before. So that's, I think, really been the challenge. In some ways, I find that the one-on-ones I have now are a little bit more special, I think, because we miss that human contact. And so I really look forward in a way that I didn't always to one-on-ones. And that was an interesting lesson for me, because in the past I had looked at it as something that I need to do and I need to take care of, but I always saw it as competing for the time I could spend on other things. And I really found that having that time to connect with my team meant a lot more to me now that I mostly sit at home and, work here in this boring apartment. So that was a surprise. I was happy to see that all of our connectivity tools, such as Slack and the other things we use, really have served us well this year, and we found new ways to be creative with them. I don't know what next year holds, but I guess we'll be ready for anything, because we've shown that as a company we can be resilient and we can still get stuff done and still deliver important products to people that they want and use.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Actually, yes, the company is Blendle. So So it's just it's also very challenging. I mean, Blendle as a company provides a lot. It's like a platform, I think you can say. So like where you can get subscriptions for amazing magazines, and even to read the journalists who are not that popular yet, but definitely can become a superstars. And I think this is the digital product, right? So I felt a lot of stories from the companies, technological companies, who were not selling the digital actual products. Oops, so we lost Erwin. So I actually wanted to ask him a question. So let's see if he's he will come back. Okay, he's coming back. Yes, no worries. So, Erwin, I wanted to first of all also thank you so much. Thank you for joining, and so you are the true member of the community. So you never spoke before, but your opinion is super valuable, because the content and all the efforts are made for members, so that they're gonna enjoy and they're gonna learn something. So, if you can also share with us, like, how was this year for you, and any ideas about the community? So how we're doing?
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. So I think I've joined 2 events this year, not all, unfortunately. But I was very excited to see the Slack launching a platform in the first place to host local chapters, and seeing one for Amsterdam pop up right away. That was very nice to see. So for me this year, has been interesting, mostly on a personal front. At the start of this year, I was stuck in Thailand, and unfortunately I had to stay there for a while. Managed to escape eventually, and then was also able to resume my company's efforts. So I've been freelancing most of this year, and then some of this year I have been focusing on Sparkly, which is actually an app on Slack. And it has been going rather well on the first half of the year. The second half of the year, unfortunately, I came to find out that position was so Sparkly is slowly going to the background, but I'm already working on something new. So ups and downs this year, but that's all right. It happens. I'm just going to continue in good faith in 2021. I'm sure it will be a better year.
Actually, I think everyone is hoping so. If not that year, so this year is for sure. So we already this 2020, yeah, if you can imagine, it could be a person. So the person will have a lot of pressure. So, but Erwin, if I may ask you, what does this app, what is this app does? Actually, what is this Sparkly about? If you can share with us.
Of course. So Sparkly I've built out of my own discontent with working in corporate environments, where I was working as a consultant, and I found out that usually either the teams or departments in bigger companies tend to be little islands, and connections in between are usually made by managers, but not by members that are doing marketing work or programming work, etc. They're usually only in their own department. And so what I came to find out at that point was that it can be very beneficial to connect people on other fronts. So at some point we were playing football a lot, and we started to have a small tournament, and people started to get along from different departments. After a while, I found out that they were still in contact, but not necessarily to play football in a cafeteria, but because they needed one another for their work. They would have never known each other if it wasn't for something seemingly unrelated to work. And so I started Sparkly basically to connect people with same interests on Slack, with the goal that there will be a social structure within companies, more so at least, than just a purely hierarchical one. That concept is something that almost 100 other workspaces liked as well. Unfortunately, I found out the hard way that marketing can be quite hard. So that's actually the reason why Sparkly is fading in the background. It's not that the concept didn't work. It's more that my execution wasn't that great. But I guess you live and learn. The next thing I'm building is slightly similar. It's the same matching principle, a little bit deeper on people's beliefs and values, with the goal of creating mentors and mentees within companies. So say a programmer wants to know a little bit more about marketing, can ask a marketeer. And so the same connections are made on the company, but with a different goal in mind.
Yeah, that's actually great because, in the community, so you can have the channels that best in interest, but about mentoring in mentees. So I've tried even, I just created the Excel file, put everyone who ever asked me about mentorship, and I started to put the people in there who are interested to be mentors. And to be honest, this list became 300 people, and I can't manage this list. Yeah, so it's so interesting. I'm not sure why people don't ask each other. So to have some kind of platform or the channel where if I need a mentor or just brainstorm, so if I can go, I think it's a very good idea. And especially when you work a freelancer, I also know this a lot myself. You have the imposter syndrome. I sometimes have because I think how do I know if it's better? Because the team, actually, the team that is in the company probably know more than I know, and sometimes I think do I know enough? These my skills as a freelancer are still sharp, and I think it's a very good idea, Erwin. And yeah, let me know if you would like to put some kind of short presentation, share it with the community, because I think that you're having a very good goal, like to connect people. And it feels like we also in this year, I hear a lot like people overwhelmed by the events. So I saw that the recording that I make, people watch it like many times, and even more than they're coming to actually be on the event itself. So it's also the observation that I have. So, and I have a very special story as well about Lou, because so he made me as some beginner community management very happy, because he told me that the person that was also part of the community became part of his team, and this is so special. Like, just so if you can share with us what are you doing right now, and yeah, how your project is going.
Yeah, first of all, really appreciate you invited me to finish this year. As everyone already described, this year has been phenomenally different, challenging, and really glad, of course, to make it through the year. A bit of a background for everyone who don't know me. By day, I work for Philips, and when I have free time, I actually like to try out new ideas and form teams to build, let's say, possible MVPs with startup. One of the ideas I learned last year was data science and machine learning, and actually specifically for natural language processing. So a couple of friends and I built a team together, and we used that team to run hackathons, as well as basically trying to put ideas into MVPs. There was a hackathon actually in May when the lockdown was 2 months in. And I thought it was a great idea because Ella is actually such a great connector to actually use her and leverage her network to bring in someone we don't have the current capability in the team. And that gentleman was Ahmed. He was a full stack engineer, and he helped us actually in the hackathon. Even though we didn't win, we actually produced an MVP within about 12 hours in the hackathon. And that was really a cool experience. And I think that's what really helps the community, to say that you have the network, you have some of the resources, or let's say capabilities to expand, to actually help each other's effort to evolve their dreams or get their ideas actually into practical thing. That would be very helpful. And right now I'm actually taking the whole thing back into Philips, because Philips as a company, it's a ever transforming company. Many of you might know us as the company that made light bulbs. We are going towards full-on healthcare, because next year we're actually selling off the whole consumer domestic appliance business. And actually, we are looking for innovations just like what this community is bringing forward. And interesting enough, the project that we did a hackathon in this year is actually going to be an idea generation / possible project going forward in the whole AI chatbot realm in the future. So yeah, I really appreciate this opportunity and this forum to actually bring that into a company that's big and also not as agile as other companies, but we are more than willing to accept more ideas. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining. Yes, and so I have all this the haircare thing from Philips, and so it's a very big company in the Netherlands. So you
can still get them. Yeah, you can still get them for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this hair dryer is 20 years old. I'm so unhappy because I would like to have a new one, but this is still
we
working.
have the best quality, right?
No,
I might not agree to that, but I can say that for sure. Yeah.
It depends, but it's also interesting, what I've learned also from all the people who were joining, a little bit more about their companies and a little bit more about their communities. So I didn't know that Philips is taking, artificial intelligence so seriously, and so this is some kind of, enormous level, because apparently there are hundreds of data scientists working in Philips. So if you just know, if you don't meet people from there, so yeah. And using the opportunities that the NEOM is here. So I'm not sure if you were planning to share anything, but I would like to ask you, like, what, how was this year for you? How are you feeling?
Yeah, so to introduce myself, guys, I do know what it looks like, but because I'm Irish, you're going to have to trust me on this. So my name is Neve. It looks like Niam, but I'm telling you, trust me, it's Neve. So yeah, it's been a good and, as per for most of you, a mixed year. I was not intending to change my role, never mind change my role during a pandemic, but I did. So I joined Slack during the summer. It was around June, and like I'd say the negative part is I've still never met another human that works in Slack. Well, I did meet one, but I knew him when I was 15. So I've met him since on the internet, but again, we have not seen each other since like a play that teenagers went to 15 years ago. But apart from that, like, it's been pretty good. I've enjoyed, for a while I was staying with my parents just because I was living in a really small flat in the city centre, and that was fine for when you could go out, but when there was nothing to go to, the walls were getting real small and I was seeing an awful lot of them. So I went to stay with my parents, there was a garden, so sitting out and reading in the garden during lunchtime or at the weekends, like, this is good. Really desperately trying to find some positivities. The hard stuff has just been, like, for, I'd say, all of you, not seeing pals and loved ones. It does your head in and it's quite painful. But as far as this year has gone, not so bad. Not so bad.
Yeah, people make it easier, right? So, and by the way, everyone noticed that Sam pronounced your name wrong. So.
All day, every
No,
day. It's only my colleagues in Ireland that get it. Don't worry.
So that's for sure. But yeah, so I sent, I was contacting the person, just a candidate for a job or a developer, and I was thinking about someone else, and I just sent the email with the wrong name, and I've got the reply immediately with the wrong name of mine, my wrong name, and it's like, I replied like, hey, I get it, I really get it, so my bad. So that's fine. And yes, I've got some questions from the community that I received before this event. Most of the questions actually, they're personal. So because people were looking at the panel, and so they get the questions to the people specifically. So Josh, actually the question that I had for you, one of I have three questions for you, so but I will ask one by one, so if you don't mind, guys. So one question was if you can be a mentor, and if yes, so what's probably the topics that you can help out? So that's a truly question from the community.
Yeah, I think, in general, I have mentored people in the past, and, it's a really incredible experience, especially when you click. And the way I view mentorship, I think it's important to define terms, is a long-term relationship. If it's just to somebody asking a question like, what's a good editor I should use? This to me is valuable, but I would call that more like coaching. For me, the mentorship really is about the relationship and creating a comfortable environment where someone can be vulnerable and ask questions that they might feel are silly, or show them to be inexperienced or whatever. And it's just really creating that comfort. And my philosophy is that, sure, I can give a practical answer, but I'm more likely to respond with a question, because I really want to understand what's going on and get into the head of the person I'm mentoring, and hopefully lead them to find their own conclusions. And I don't know, I think it's a really valuable experience when it happens for two people like that. I have mentored people in technical management. So just how to be an engineering manager, especially if you're coming from an engineering background and you haven't managed people before, but it's something you're very interested in, but it's also very different than managing code. And there just are a lot of questions that can come up during that. And I think that's a place I can really help. I have a lot of experience in public speaking. And so I'm often helping people with tips there. How do you develop a talk? How do you practice it? All of this kind of thing. And then just in general, kind of making career choices. I firmly believe in paying it forward and also giving back. And I wouldn't have been able to get to where I am today in my career had I not had people to lean on and learn from. And in the case, there's still someone that I carry around in my head who is the favorite manager I ever worked for. And I still reflect when I'm in a kind of lost situation, what would Mark do? And he and I email occasionally. We worked closely together for a long time, but I still have his voice because he was so influential to me. And I can only dream to be that for someone else.
Wow, that's amazing. No, I was like, I haven't imagined that you, because you're already like, so experienced, that you will also have a mentor. So that's for me, like,
all of us.
hard to imagine. But would you say it's a big difference to have? I feel it's a big difference, but I would like to get your opinion. When someone is mentoring you online, or if someone is mentoring you and you're sitting together in the office, exchanging jokes, getting lunch. So,
yeah, I mean, I think like anything, that proximity is really nice. But I have a former colleague that I now, he asked me to be his mentor, and we talk on the phone almost every day. That increased a lot during the lockdown periods because it really was the only option. We used to meet for coffee once a week. And the interesting thing is that although the in-person interaction I think is incredibly valuable, and I think we both got a lot out of it, now that we talk on the phone, we talk more frequently. And I don't know if it's just because it's easier to kind of pick a time, you don't have to go anywhere, or if this has just made us a little bit closer going through this pandemic experience. But yeah, I think it can still be incredibly valuable, but it's never going to be quite the same as when you can really sit in the room with someone and look in their eye.
It's true. But yeah, it's so true. Yes, I also noticed that I'm making more calls than I did before, for sure. Erwin, I have a question for you. I'm not sure if you're comfortable to answer this one. It's about like how much effort it takes to create an application on Slack. So someone who never did that. So what advice you will give?
Oh wow, that's a quite broad question, but I'll give it a shot. Sparkly is actually the very first thing that I have ever built. Now I must give the disclaimer: I knew coding before, so the technologies that I'm coding with, I was largely already familiar with. It would be rather hard to give an indication on how much time it would take to learn those skills. But if you are at least technically savvy and you have at least one language in your portfolio that you can develop a Slack app with as well, and you can check that on slack.com which languages are supported. It took me about 3 weeks, almost a month, to build the very first version of Sparkly. And I've been iterating on it ever since. But for the very first version, it took me about 4 weeks. And most of it was to figure out how to make it install properly, how to make it work with the different types of Slack environments, how the API in general works, and then also how the authentication and the rights work. Because when you're installing, you're supposed to ask certain rights as well, because an app shouldn't have access to everything. It should obviously only have access to what it needs. So figuring all of that out took a while. I must also say that was in 2018, the very first prototype. A lot has changed since. In the last 2 years, Slack has updated their documentation a couple of times already, and it has definitely improved as well. So it might even take a little bit less time nowadays.
That's good. Very practical answer. So that's great. So I will pass it to the person, but it will be recorded as well. So Yves, I have a question, actually provocative a little bit. So I'm not sure if you're able to answer, but of course, everyone in the community was asking me about the official communication about Slack being acquired. So, so I don't know. Do you have any?
So for legal reasons, I do not have anything, nor would you want to hear anything official being delivered by me. You'd want perhaps the head of Slack to join. So with that, I can tell you, as much as I can't say very much, we are closing in on the date. And again, don't want to confirm because it could be changed, but give or take, within the 2nd or 3rd week of January, Stuart will be joining us. And by us, I mean for the community. He'll be joining and he'll answer more of your questions. So hear it from the horse's mouth, not mine.
Yeah, because that's actually the day when it happened. So I received so many questions from the community, and I was super happy because, okay, so this is working. So as soon as something big is happening, so people started coming back. So Lou, I have a question for you about your the changes that you're going through right now. So you're in Toronto right now, but you're also trying to build your hackathon project. And what is like the reason for you to be there and to start to also try to build teams here? So what are the things you're focusing?
Yeah, great question. Actually, in my day job with Philips, or I don't even know if I can call it a day job anymore, I work in supply chain operation. And as you can tell, during the pandemic, supply chain is very heavily constrained. Not just delivering vaccines. Everyone wants the Amazon packages at their door yesterday. Then we also have to work hard to get that happen. For me, I'm actually leading a program for the global supply chain at the moment. I have experience working with distributed workforce before the pandemic, so this transition is a lot smoother for me to just take my laptop and my headphones back home. But for a lot of my friends and colleagues, it takes a while for them to actually transition into the setting. When do you actually cut off your time every day from work? When do you stop working and do something that's not really related to work? That becomes the challenging part. I literally just had that conversation with my manager at Philips as well. What I think that the community is very helpful for is that, at least for my own, let's say, values as well as connection, is that I can always reach out to someone to ask a question. And most of the time, if that person can't answer my question, they will pass the question on to someone else. And in the end, that's what's very valuable for what I do, whether it's with Philips or not in Philips. And that helps a lot. And that also resonates with my personal value as well, because I like to make meaningful connections to bring ideas forward, going forward. So if there's anything related to supply chain operation, even from the community, jobs, ideas, or any questions, feel free to reach out to me as well and my team. To answer the question about the side project that we're doing, I think that with the things I picked up last year from data science, I tried to also do some of that on the side for work and outside of work. I think it's very helpful in terms of, let's say, specifically NLP with text analytics, data analytics, helps a lot with, let's say, if you're really lazy and if you want to do TLDR, too long didn't read, you can always use that tool, right, going forward. For us, actually, in our day-to-day job in Philips, we do a lot of contract, let's say, offering tenders, as well as going through lengthy contracts, procurement and legal, that has lots and lots of applications. Just that we have to also ride the change curve, just like how we embrace the pandemic coming into our lives. So yeah, I think I learned a lot, and also there are lots to look forward to in 2021 as well, because COVID is here to stay. We have to take it as a reality and work with your teams to actually do that.
That's true, but thank you so much for sharing. And I also noticed that lots of people started to have a little bit different conversations on the one-on-one. The people were also like what I experienced, sharing their concerns about like, yeah, how when they should stop answering the questions, etc. So, and I remember Joshua at the first community meeting. So I remember you said that yeah, you use emails as well, like, but you also create some kind of, you know, the way how Slack has statuses. So statuses is something that is very explicitly saying, are you there or not? So should someone bother or not in notifications? I think it's it was very valuable as well. Advice how to just notify people, like put the status that you're not available, because it's also like feeling like you're all the time online, all the time in front of the computer. So I ordered the kickboxing bag to my apartments so that I can steam steam the energy on this bag. And yeah, actually it's very noisy, so my neighbors are not happy, but that's the living part, right? And so I've got I made a small survey from the people who joined the workplace, Slack workplace, and asked like what are the topics you would like to hear. And people still would like to learn more about staying effective, about the productivity tools, how they can manage their time, and is there any tips about how you can keep up with this constant uncertainty? So I'm also not an expert how to deal with uncertainties, and I also, as Erwin said, had the year of ups and downs, and you have to deal with them. And before, I don't know, you can go with your friends, just have a nice dinner, or go to the cinema, or just travel, go to Switzerland and just eat the chocolate, come back, and again, phew, you're ready as new. So that topic was very something that people still interested. So I want to ask everyone just one by one if you also can suggest any topics, and then I will share what I actually prepared for the next year. So Josh, if I may start with you. So if you, I don't know, thought about any topics you think in general, the community that is mixed of designers, product managers, developers could be interested in.
I really like that you kind of reached back to that first meeting we had where we were all kind of exploring what we were going to do and how we were going to work with things. And, I'd love to hear from people now that we're at the end of the year, maybe what tricks did they use or come up with, like your example of being very proactive and broadcasting your status just with a Slack status label. So people know not only please don't disturb me, but also I'm welcoming and open right now. So please ask me questions. And, that has almost become religion in our company now. We really stuck to that. It's really worked well. So I just love to hear from other people what's really worked well in small ways to help with communication.
That's super nice. Yes, Lou?
Yeah, I think for me, one of the key things that I took away resonating to what I discussed in the beginning is how can we, I guess, penetrate and connect better or more effectively? Because right now, also communication, data overload is a big thing for a lot of people where we are bombarded by news and then also severity. But what is the human side of it for Slack or any of the communication tool out there? I think I just came up with an idea today saying that I should start always my meeting with a presentation or picture of a puppy going forward to spread a little bit of the positivity, right? Instead of just having those dry meetings where you turn off the camera and just talk to different people. And I guess the other part is also doing a little bit of surveying, kind of figuring out what the community really wants and hear about. You did mention about mentorship program, and I would like to help and support as well because I've done that myself as well going forward. So, yeah.
That's super nice. Yes, maybe you can teach me how to do the surveys better because, my response rate is not that great yet. So, Erwin, anything that you think could be interesting? So I'm just making notes and, maybe any topics that we can put a light on next year.
I guess for me, it's I'm mostly interested in the more technical parts of how to work specifically with Slack and or other productivity tools. One thing that I've seen taken a rise this year and last year as well, which I think could be very interesting to cover, would be how to start as an indie maker and how to get from nothing to a product very quickly. Something along those lines with tips and tricks I think could be very interesting and could attract some people. I actually have some friends that have never ever written a line of code themselves, yet have built products now, one of them even integrating into Slack. So I think that can be very interesting.
That's nice. That's nice. That's nice. And actually, I think that's all amazing topics. And I've tried this year make a mix of topics like technical and non-technical, just to see what stick better. And I see that when the topic is very specific. So, for example, we tried building on Slack with comments. We had quite a few people interested, but mostly people didn't understand the technical part of it. So, but the product itself, of course. So what I don't want to share the screen. I just edit later, but I wanted to tell that in January, I'm planning to invite some experts, head of API from Adyen. It's the big bank in the Netherlands, and he's gonna share how he's building, his thoughts on the public API. And I'm also going to get people from Miro, because I work in Miro, and right now it's a big topic about enabling building on the public API. So they're really on it right now. And actually Slack is a champion, I think, on this, because I think it was one of the first companies doing that and allowing to build like as many crazy things if you would like to have. So that's the January plan. Like on January, it just invites these guys. So I will make an agenda. It will be a little bit more practical, a little bit more technical, because they're going to share the true experience, how they do that. Because, for example, at Miro as well, company still like testing it in small areas and still like getting some very interesting results that indicates that they need more time to launch it. I think that's a more technical event. And for February, I'm planning to invite product managers from KLM, also from Miro, and from two companies that I'm waiting for the confirmation. And basically, these are all product companies that, like KLM is a little bit different. So it's like it's a product and service. So, but what is interesting, so people coming from different sizes of companies, and their challenge is when they like need to really support millions of users. How do they do that? How they operate with this product when it's so big? I will think about, after Erwin you mentioned, so I will think about maybe I can get someone who has this experience building from scratch, like from a prototype on a napkin to the something working. So we can I can try to make some research in this kind of speakers. I don't know, maybe Joshua, you have this experience. I'm not sure if you were like, I know that you worked in successful companies, but not sure about the small one.
Well, actually, I do from a past life. At Red Hat, I was given the opportunity to design and deliver a product from scratch, and it's a really exciting story I'd be happy to share anytime.
That's great. So that's awesome. So we can do that. And for example, Lou, you've tried to do that during the hackathon. So some of the companies are a little bit skeptical about what you can do in this short amount of time. But at Miro as well, hackathon are done internally, and some of the features specifically just go through the hackathon so that you can engage more people from different departments to get more overview, right? And so I don't know, Nymph, do we have anything like that in Slack? Like, is there any internal hackathons happening? So how does it happen in Slack itself?
Yeah, there are hackathons, but they tend to be like department based, like be the different people working on email products or different people working on app or API related stuff. They have their hackathons. Now, there could be more to it, but it's just, I think not one has happened since I've joined. It's either not one has happened or I have been oblivious if one has. So I think I know that things have come from hackathons, but I don't think 2020 was the year of many of them.
Probably, not internally, but I think it was quite a lot externally. For example, the one that Yulu participated, right? It was one of the biggest, I think.
Yeah, indeed. I think that was also a regional event in the western part of Germany, sponsored actually by the government and one of the mining companies to actually transition their society towards more, I would say, technology-based rather than primary material mining kind of technology. So digital transformation. I actually, when you talked about that, I actually thought about something, because different chapters around the world have different capabilities as well as number of attendees and regular community interaction. Would it be interesting if those communities can be shared to present their ideas over, so you have a cross-sharing session, kind of like breaking down the silo-ish,
Yeah, it's true. It's true. No, it's happening actually. And I once wanted to cooperate also with Berlin team, but I'm really sucker for these, like the events that are technical. So my plan is to probably to get next year to get one more person to help me to build this community who can help me also, like maybe this person will be a little bit more technical than I am. so we can do some more, hackathons, workshops a little bit, because I think my network, and it's a lot of developers due to my work, but me myself, so I think I'm good at talking, but not on installing OBS and making the how do you call it? Put the video on YouTube, so and make live sessions. So it's like I can do that, but so that's my plan, like to get more people on board and to get more joint sessions as well. Because you're right, Lou. So I see how many amazing people are in other chapters that can share the experience, and I think we should use this opportunity to, while we're remote. But maybe I'm too positive, too optimistic. But I think that's the next year, hopefully, when we all get COVID behind us, and we can start meeting in person and make it a little bit more interactive, and that's also an idea. So having panel discussions about topics like productivity, how to organize your work in this remote setup, and what is interesting as well, lots of companies will stay remote even if they will if after pandemic time. So I'm not sure what you guys experiencing in your companies, but it looks like people that I see, like I'm talking to engineers, so lots of them would like to stay at home maybe 1 or 2 days and then come to the office for three days or something. So it doesn't look like everyone just would like to go back full time, because they also see the benefits of being at home. Yeah, so that's also true. So yeah, just to summarize, going from like 12 people to 101, this is something that feels very special. Having so experienced, so amazing people to share the knowledge is also feels very special, and I would like to thank every speaker this year who participated and gave the energy to the community. And we started to share some materials, like, I don't know, some slides, some links that people recommend. So I think it's also nice to add. And I will probably, create some kind of I don't know, channel file where I can put people who would like to mentor or people who would like to become speakers, because we all have things that we would like to share, right? And it's nice to give it to the community. And so plans for January, for February already in place. I'm gonna advertise them after the holidays. Yes, and I hope that the community will get bigger. And I will get more people on board to help me to organize it. But yeah, I would like to thank Slack as well, team, for great support, because all this amazing content about workshops, about books to read, about the events that are happening. So this is all coming from the community management from Slack itself. So it's not only the efforts that are done by enthusiasts, that's a lot of efforts that are done by companies. So I wish actually lots of companies will have their communities as well. So that's a wrap up for today from my side, but I'm happy to check if you have any questions from the audience, because we still have people here. Hi, Paul, thank you for joining. And so if anyone has any questions, please add it in the chat, or just reach out to me or to anyone in here. And guys, just let me know if you would like to add anything. And hopefully we all believe 2021 is going to be different, for sure.
Lovely to meet you guys. Have a nice evening or day for you too. Bye, guys. Bye.
Likewise. Very nice to meet you.
Bye.